Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sangle, and I'm fired up to help you each and every week with right now relevant information to help you, yes, you, live a fully funded life. And today's episode is episode number
208.
Yes, and that is the voice of Chelsea Davis-Hearn. And Chelsea, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So you are our brand new. Tell everybody what your title is and lean into your microphone here.
All right.
This is our first time on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube here.
So I am the Fully Funded Life Coordinator.
Yes. So what is a fully funded life coordinator? Kind of answer that question real quick.
So I am your cheerleader, your motivator, the person that keeps you engaged and shares all of the information from all of our different avenues, from I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, to Fully Funded Life. And I'm just here to encourage you, to help you along your journey, and to also provide a low level of accountability. So just reaching out, checking in on you so you don't forget about your journey.
Yeah. And so Fully Funded Life is our membership community that started at the start of 2021. And we've been building it up. We have several hundred members now. And the hiring of Chelsea has been an answer to prayer, because we know that we need someone who wakes up every day, eating, sleeping, and breathing our members' success. And so if you're a part of Fully Funded Life, you're going to hear a lot more from Chelsea. You've probably already heard from Chelsea. But we wanted to take an episode of this podcast for everybody to learn about you, to be able to hear more about your story. And I find out, I remember reading this autobiography. It wasn't an autobiography, it was a biography written by Sir Walter Isaacson. Sir Walter Isaacson has kind of been the biographer to the stars, and he did Steve Jobs' biography. And Steve Jobs basically said, I'm going to give you access to everybody. I will set up every phone call, every meeting, but I'm never going to read your book because I'm going to get mad and disagree with it. Yep. But he said, I hear you're the best of the best. And so in that, one of the things that was asked in one of the interviews Walter did with Steve was when he got fired from Apple. Do you remember when Steve got fired from Apple? Mm-hmm. Which, here's the lesson for everybody. If you're listening, if you have a business and you have a genius, don't fire the genius. So they fired him. Apple did really bad. And so in the meantime, Steve went out and, had a pity party and started Pixar and, things like that, and ended up being bought out by Disney, ended up becoming a shareholder of Disney, one of the dominant shareholders, became a member of the board. And then he came back to Apple and invented a small thing known as the iPod back then. But he asked the question, Steve, what did you learn in your time away from Apple that you're going to apply in your next round here at Apple? And he said, I've learned the power of the story. That stories are so much more powerful than just numbers, facts, and figures. Mm-hmm. And so today you're going to get to share your story. It's going to be awesome. So thanks for joining us. So today we're going to have a inspirational moment. So normally we have the current money events moment, but because we're recording this, we're recording this in advance. For those you haven't heard yet, Megan, my normal co-host, has had her twin boys. Everybody's doing great. Little Caleb Graham, and we have Grayson Levi. It's pretty good. They're doing great.
They're beautiful.
And so we have these co-hosts that are helping me, and we felt like, hey, if we're recording this early, like a couple months in advance, a current money event would no longer be current. So we're doing special moments, and this is an inspirational moment. And today I wanted to talk about positioning yourself to pursue a dream that maybe pays less money, or maybe your friends and family don't understand, but it's your calling and it's your passion to pursue this dream. And a lot of people have a dream that they don't pursue, and you've kind of described this as kind of what you think could be your dream job. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for you to kind of talk about, what decisions you kind of went through to be able to do this, to be able to start into this. The dream job, pursuing a dream.
Yeah. So I think for one, whenever you are financially strapped, you can't always pursue the things that you want to pursue. You are more dedicated to that dollar amount that comes on your paycheck, that salary. And not saying that I don't, do well working here, but it's kind of like what you say on the ladder, when you're on the fully funded life ladder, your perspective changes the higher that you get on that ladder. And you're able to do things that were always right there in front of you, but you maybe didn't feel like you could because you were financially tied to debt or other things. For me personally, I was in commercial property management, loved my job, worked there for a few years. It wasn't where I really felt my calling was. I do great with numbers, but I love working with people. Absolutely, like hands down. I'm an introverted extrovert, so I really require a lot of stimulation with people and helping people, and that kind of what fuels me. And so I decided to take off. I stayed home with my baby, who's now 13 months old, and really wasn't necessarily looking for a job anywhere, and happened to go on your website, on your Facebook, and I was looking for some information to rebudget this year and found this job. And it's exactly what all of the qualities that I personally love about myself, honestly, is reaching out to people, being positive, encouraging people, motivating people, and teleworking, which is awesome because, when you live in a small town, you're kind of at the town's mercy for what you're going to do. Whatever they have available, you're going to pick what you want to do. And for me, it's just being able to help people, and so to be able to be in a financial position to help people. So for us, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later on, being higher on the fully funded life ladder allowed me to be able to pursue a dream that maybe I wouldn't have been able to pursue even a year ago when we really were depending on my salary. So I feel like God kind of led us through a period of time where I didn't have a salary, and we adjusted to that based off of our fully funded life. And then it opened us back up to come do something that I actually really love. Right.
And I think that a couple of things that you just shared there, and it's very important that I want everybody to listen to and hear on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, I want you to think about a dream. And a lot of people, I just saw it again. I screenshot it on a Facebook scroll. I was scrolling through Facebook, and a person is taking a step of faith, and they're doing something that's different. And they said, well, not everyone's able to do that. And every time I hear that, that's a trigger statement for me. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's able to do that. And in this one thing, this person, another time I was seeing it on Facebook, I am in this group of turkey hunters, and this guy's very upset because his land, he showed up to hunt his turkey land, and the forest is gone.
Oh, no.
So the owner is a timber company, and amazingly, the timber company took the timber. Oh, no. And so he's frustrated because he knows it's going to be several years now before that's able to attract turkeys and hold turkeys. And so he's asking for a new place to hunt. Does anybody know? Like anybody's going to share that, right on Facebook. But somebody said, buy your own land and you won't have to deal with this. And they said, well, not everybody's able to do that. And the truth is, at this moment, in this picture of time, not everyone is able to do that. Right. But there are millions upon millions of landowners in the United States. Mm-hmm. There is probably 1 billion landowners on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. So don't tell me not everyone is able to do that. Right. It's positioning yourself to be able to do that. And so I love that you linked it to the ladder, the fully funded life ladder. It really does. As you follow the steps, and some of the steps are very challenging. Paying off all your debt except for the house, especially if you have student loans or big credit cards or a couple vehicles, it can take 2, 3, 4 years. But when you get up higher on the ladder, your perspective shifts, and things you could never consider before become an option. So tell the feelings with that.
Well, I just want to say too, there's a lot of power. I don't know if power is the right word to use, but a lot of freedom that comes with not having to work. So when God allows you to get into that mode, I mean, how many of us worked in a job and we're like, I hate this job. My boss knows I hate this job, but he knows I have to work this job, so he can treat me however he really wants to. Sad. It's a sad truth. But whenever you don't have to, when you prepare your lifestyle in a way, your financial situation in a way where it's not a necessity, people treat you different too. I mean, in the workplace, and and then I think you enjoy your job a lot more too, because you don't have to do that.
Right.
So I think it's just a lot of freedom that comes with that. And also there's a lot of, I think to be able to pursue what you really want to do. I've known my whole life, my two-word statement is inspiring joy. And I've said a million times, I just wish there was a job where I could just bring joy to other people, because I do that in the workplace, but then there's all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with a lot of prayer, God also recognized our dedication, and we are leaning on him and trusting on him. He was like, here you go. Here's your job. I think it's neat. Inspire joy.
Now you're working kind of basically for our parent organization's name is In Joy.
Yep.
Which is put in the aspiring and you've got the whole thing. That's awesome. So I just wanted to encourage everybody who's listening, position yourself on the ladder. That's why we teach this in this podcast every single week, is practical, relevant stuff that help you propel you up that ladder sooner, swifter, and more safely, so that you can be able to go do that which you dream of, whatever that is. Yep. So that's your inspirational moment today. Yep. And thank you so much for being a part of it. Yep. Hey, would you share the latest success story? Absolutely. And I want to say, before you do that, this podcast is powered by your success. Without your success, there's no energy. And so this success story is going to fuel us up for the rest of the podcast episodes. So share, everybody, what the success story is.
All right. Well, today our success story comes from Ashley, who's already experiencing the blessings that come from honoring God through stewardship. She said, God has definitely come through as he promised. My first paycheck after your seminar, I made a strict promise to not only God, but to myself that I was going to take that leap of faith and give first, save second, and live off the rest, no matter how scared and nervous it made me. I woke up that morning to check my bank statement to see what 10% I needed to tithe, and I had received a $300 pay raise per paycheck. I couldn't believe it. Recently, I had an unexpected doctor's appointment come up with some tests that needed to be done. However, since I have learned to save for things like this, I was perfectly okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so something that stands out to me here is there's a moment of inspiration that happened for Ashley, and she made a promise to God and to herself. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of times we say things, but we don't mean them. Like when you make something as bold, a profound statement that before God, you're doing this, that is a huge promise. And then she describes it again as a leap of faith. Mm-hmm. To give, save, and live off the rest. We say give, save, invest, and plan the rest. That she woke up that morning and there she is receiving more income. Now, that happened so much that I cannot call it a coincidence. It is not the reason to give. But what I know is that there's these profound moments that we look back in our life and say, because of that decision, I can draw a line back to something shifting in my life, spiritually, physically, relationally, whatever it is. There's these moments. I call them holy moments in ordinary days. That stands out to me. Anything stand out to you in her story?
Well, I just wanted to say something to what you said. When you make that promise before God, Satan likes to come in immediately like, oh yeah, got this, and I think, I can't tell you how many times I've seen friends and family who have also tried to get on that right path, but there's some obstacles put in your way too. So
yeah, and all four tires are flat, and
it's what are you going to do now? So our intentions may always be there, but sometimes there's some interference from other people that make it difficult. So I think that's awesome that even with her unexpected doctor's appointment and everything going on, she stood firm with it, and then she saw the blessings.
Yeah, and it's amazing. One thing I know. We do not get out of here alive. No one. So the chances are you're going to be sick or ill along the way. So that's to be expected. Mm-hmm. So what I do know is that God is with us every step of the way, and that's awesome. That's what really Ashley is describing there. So thanks, Ashley, for taking the time to email in your story. We're fired up about it. So now today, we're going to talk about you, Chelsea. So Chelsea Davis-Hearn, our new Fully Funded Life coordinator. If you've not been part of Fully Funded Life, I want you to know that it has 4 components. They all start with the letter C. So we have courses, which are education, financial education, at all levels. Intro to finances, budgeting, saving, mid-level stuff like beginning investing. And then we talk about more complex stuff, more complex investing stuff, estate planning, things like that. And then we have challenges, which is where we focus on a specific money skill to get really good at that really fast. So we have a budget challenge, a savings challenge, a fast from spending challenge. And then we have coaching. And this is what I really love this afternoon of the day that we're recording this. We are doing 6 30-minute coaching appointments. And I'll be coaching some people with whatever their personal, practical questions are. And we won't have to talk in generalities, which I love.
Yep.
And then the 4th C, well, that's community. And we got to build community. And that's why Chelsea Davis-Hearn has joined the team, is to help foster this community. So let's just ask some questions. When did you first learn about, I was broke, now I'm not, fully funded life, Joe Sangle, personal financial stuff that I was teaching?
In 2016, I believe, my husband and I attend Element Church in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and you had come to give a financial learning experience. And we went to the financial learning experience, and it honestly made us uncomfortable, in a good way, But we've been going every year ever since. And we recognize, I don't know how in depth you want me to go into this, but.
Well, I want to just stop and say it was uncomfortable. What was uncomfortable?
Well, I think for one, everybody has this vision of being financially successful, but you really don't know how to get there. And so it almost seems like a far off dream, because you want it, everybody wants that, but without the skills and tools to get there. So I think you kind of lining it out, and you have to be very honest with yourself, where are you at on this ladder? What could you do to, be successful, to move to the next rung? What sacrifices are you willing to make? I don't like that.
And conversations with your spouse.
Right. And, especially when you come from two different, financial mindsets. So it took a while actually for both of us to get on the same page, but it was just uncomfortable. It's just, movement's always uncomfortable.
So this is something I want to unpack. This is I want insider
Psychology
scoop here.
Joe.
This is awesome. So I always imagine, I speak to all these people, and generally I speak in a weekend service about money, and then we invite them to this financial learning experience where we're going to do practical budgeting, teaching, and investing, and saving, and debt, and all that. So what is the conversation like 2016 after the morning message saying, had you already registered for the financial learning experience to come back, or did you do that as a result of hearing the word
as
that
a result
morning?
I don't even know if we registered. I think we
You
were
just
on
showed up?
the fence, are we going to go? Are we not going to go? Okay, we're going to go.
And you went because there's free hot dogs?
Probably Chick-fil-A.
Free food?
I bet you there's Chick-fil-A.
Which is awesome. So you came.
Right.
And so what's the conversation like in the car driving over this financial learning experience?
We're never going to get to rung 9.
Okay.
That's impossible. We're just starting out at rung 0. We made a plan, so I guess we're on rung 1 now,
Okay.
And, but we're not going to get there. It's impossible. So
you walk in, and this church, Element Church in Cheyenne, Wyoming, is a phenomenal welcoming church. I mean, they will assault you with kindness as you show up there.
We do,
and
yeah.
they love food. They know that people love food.
Yes, we
and
do.
so they're serving this food. You go in, you hear this stuff, and you don't get to have a lot of conversation, with your spouse, because there's a fire hose of information coming.
Right.
190 slides or something in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You leave. You pick up kids. You get in the car. Is it just a dead silent ride home?
No, I think your energy really, I think that was probably the topic the first time was, whoa, that guy has so much energy. Is he really this genuine? Is he not really,
Yeah, is that real?
Yeah. And is this really true? Could this really, he's not asking for anything from us. So what harm do we have to try this? But man, he's got a lot of energy. It worked for him, and so it just I think that was more of our conversation at first is, whoa,
So for me, it took me a solid year from the time I was exposed to this type of thinking to the time I actually can relate a true change happening. Like I actually went and did a budget. It took a year. How long would you say it took for you guys to say, we really did something different, like something different changed?
I think it's interesting because I've always been budget minded and financially minded, but not an easy budget. which is your trademark, exactly 0. So I always had a budget, and we stayed within those like realms, but not every penny. You know, it was like, as long as all this is taken care of, then we can just spend whatever we want to on whatever we want to.
So you kind of had guardrails.
Yes.
Operate within these guardrails.
No margin though, really.
Yeah.
No margin. And my husband, and it was interesting, he was in the oil field at the time, which is a feast or famine industry to begin with. It took a while for him to come alongside of this. You know, like I said, we just came from 2 different financially minded like backgrounds. And so to get him on the same page, it took a few years. I mean, we came, you know, every year, you know, that we were able to make it. And it wasn't until we started like really going through the steps, making sacrifices. Once again, like I said, it, you know, then you kind of become addicted to it though.
Yeah. So it does. Once you start making a little progress, one success fuels the next.
It does.
And you mentioned the oil field. I know these oil field cats. I mean, they've got them some trucks, and because of the feast times, there are times they make huge bank. And then of course it runs away from them, and then it comes back, driven by administrations and just the whims of it's a commodity, a worldwide commodity. So you're also the people you're around make a huge difference in like your intention and like your mindset. For us, so when the oil field crashed, it was when Paisley was born, 2013ish, I want to say. We had already kind of started stocking like some savings, and when the oil field crashed, we were just buying a house. We put every penny of savings down on the house. We bought a like repossessed house. So we kind of were like already in the mindset, but we didn't have the tools to really like hone in. And we watched all of our friends who were renting everything lose everything. And we sunk all of our money into this house. So we had this thing that we were not going to lose, you know. But that's really, I think, it made a career change for my husband, too. He was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. It was really sad to see that happen to other people. And so I think we kind of like started going our own way from that point on, too. And we really started like listening, you know. Listening. So when you look at the teaching, what was there one tool, one statement, one phrase that you guys anchored onto that you feel like, hey, that really made a difference for us?
Yes. Oxen. So, you know, we had tried, it doesn't take much to put the math together and figure out what you're going to make for the rest of your life. And that is not going to cut it.
Wow.
And so when you started talking about oxen, Jeremy started listening. Like, how we have nothing to make money off of anything. Like, we can work like this, but, you know, he's 10 years older than me-ish. And we can't work like this forever, especially when he was in the oil field at the time, too. He was just wearing and tearing his body, you know, and it aged him in some aspects. So it's like, how are we going to do this? So when you started talking about oxen, it was like, we got to have some residual income here. And, but that's overwhelming in itself.
It sure is.
This is where I talk about their perspective on the ladder, because when we were on the lower level, I was like, we're never going to have investments. It was just, no. And even if we could, we're not going to, because everybody loses their money and everybody. And then as you start to make progress, you know, we just started our investments like 2 months ago. We finally got brave enough. So we had spent a lot of time trying to pay our house down. We changed our strategy. You can go either way, but we changed our strategy, and we're like, why don't we take that extra money that we've been paying on the house, start investing it? So our house is only 3.25% interest, and investments we're making 12 to 15%. And so we just changed our strategy. We just started making investments. But it was the oxen. It really was the oxen. Like,
that's awesome. So oxen are really, it's just a way to replace your income. And the reason that matters is there's a good day where you're no longer going to be able to exchange your time, talent, and energy for a paycheck. And so that's awesome. So when somebody, you discover this job opening, you're going on the website, you found it, you applied for it. And as perfect timing would happen, we're showing up in Wyoming to teach again.
I like
so
it,
I got to meet you.
We just cut it down and make it Wyoming.
Yeah,
I like
did
it.
I call it Wyoming?
Yep, and I like
Cheyenne,
it.
Wyoming.
I'm here for
it.
it.
Too fast. I'm in Wyoming. I like
Wyoming.
it. And so then we do an interview and we hire you. And I saw the energy, the passion, the administration. So tell us, you know, you jumped on the team when?
February 28th.
In February of 2022.
Yep.
And the issue is we have an organization that has thousands of people that are going to be joining into Fully Funded Life.
Yep.
In fact, we have
So exciting.
we have belief that Fully Funded Life is going to become tens of thousands of people
Yep.
Over this next decade. And so when you think about all those members joining, that's pretty exciting.
I know. I'm like,
it's also terrifying.
I'm excited. Yeah.
What are your hopes for that new member when they join Fully Funded Life?
I hope they feel the support. And, like I said, it all goes around. What do they say? That you're most like the 5 people that you're closest to. Like that's the most influence. So you want to choose wisely. And I think when you're on the financial journey, you will find that there's not a lot of support, especially from friends and family members who maybe aren't living. It's kind of against human nature to go into living that fully funded life instead of that fully have everything life.
Yeah.
And I think my hope is for every member to find other like-minded people who are on this journey so they don't feel alone and they can share their wins. It's really uncomfortable to share your wins with a family member who's struggling because they're living a different lifestyle. And so I want you to find the motivation. It gets tough sometimes. Sacrificing, it's not fun. Doing without so that you can have a greater future. You get caught between the now and then. Sometimes the now wants to win. So for me, Fully Funded Life, our Facebook page is where it's at because just hearing just a daily success from people, seeing people, win a t-shirt or a freshie or whatever the case is. And, it just takes little things that motivate you along your journey. And I want to be a part of motivating people so that they are living. I mean, the ultimate goal, yes, I want people to be in our program, but I want them to live that fully funded life.
Yeah.
I want them to experience.
And when they're in that period of sacrifice, the greatest thing you can receive is encouragement from like-minded people who have been there, literally got the t-shirt,
right? Yeah,
literally and figuratively, and have made the progress and made it through.
Yes.
That's what encourages you and helps you. So when somebody joins, what would you like to see them do? Like within the first month of joining, what helps set them on the course of true success?
Absolutely going onto your dashboard and listing your big 3 goals and your rung number. It's very important to see. It's like a vision board. You need to see what your goals are. If you aren't constantly looking at them every time you log into that course, then it's not relevant right in your mind. I also say to start your easy budget.
Yeah.
Get that. Join the Facebook page immediately to get that encouragement and to see other people and what they're doing. There's a lot of great ideas. I've even, you can never learn too much from anybody else. And then sign up for a coaching session and get in with someone who is holding you accountable. I mean, we're not going to call you and be like, you didn't do this, but just a person that can help individualize your journey. So like you said, the program is generalized because everybody, it's all one size fits all, but that's where the coaching session comes in, where you get specific advice for your journey to help you kickstart it, to help
I think a lot of people don't even know, how would coaching even help me? Well, let me tell you, at any given moment, you're pondering a financial decision. Why wouldn't you want to get counsel for that? So it's really important.
I also think when you have the house cleaner come, you clean the house up before she comes,
You do? I wouldn't know this.
You kind of throw everything in a car, the house cleaner coming is not so much about them cleaning the house. It's about you doing what you are putting off a bunch. And I feel like that about coaching sessions. Like you can come unprepared also, like you're going to gain value from it in 30-minute increments, no matter what. But it forces you to prepare like, oh my gosh, where's my IRA investment? Where's my this? And then you're in a better, it just makes it a priority. I feel like
this analogy here. This is a good analogy.
I'm sorry you don't know that about the house cleaning, Joe.
I've learned something here. But I do like the analogy a lot because how many people have every single investment document sent to them in some pile over there in an unopened envelope?
Yes.
How many people haven't even looked at it
You
in
don't even know
5
how to log
years?
in. You don't know what your password is.
You don't even know your insurance. You just bought it because they told you to buy it. You don't have a budget. You don't even know what your real bank account balance is.
Right.
So, money is a journey, not just a moment.
Yes.
We hope to be a part of people's money journey and be providing practical, relevant, right now helpful information such that they say, this is valuable enough for me to stay as part of this. My dream is to be a part of their journey for 10, 15 years, forever. to help them truly get a point where they've replaced all their income with oxen, that they're telling others, they're using it to help equip their kids, their grandkids, their coworkers. So what are your hopes for people who stay in the program long term?
Well, I was just thinking as you were talking, like my hope for myself and everyone is that you can live your dream, and you can afford to live your dream. So maybe whatever your industry and that you're working in right now, like it's a great financial foundation for you, but it's not your dream. I want people to achieve their financial dreams and then go help. One, I'm a firm believer that anytime that you reach success, you should help somebody else, like put your hand back down and help. But two, to be able, so not only helping them learn the fully funded life journey and be successful that way, but helping people with your gifts, which is, I think that's another thing that has hit home with my husband and I, with you talking about, because you don't just talk about like, okay, get rich and then live your best happy life. You're like, then what can you do to help others?
Right.
Most people never even can think about that because they aren't ever going to be fully funded.
Exactly.
So now I'm thinking about what are we going to do when we're fully funded? Like, how can we help our children be set up? Who can we give to? Our time, money, and talents. Like, so time, when you're working, slaving away to make that money, sometimes you can't even give time. So when you live your fully funded life, you have time to also give to help other people. So it's like the big. So
you said your goal is to help them live their dream?
Yes.
And here we call it fully funded life.
Yes.
And so I really appreciate your joining us for the podcast today, introducing yourself. If you join Fully Funded Life, you'll hear a lot from Chelsea Davis-Hearn, our fully funded life coordinator.
Yeah.
Our quote for today is what?
You can't teach passion.
That's right. You just can't teach it.
No, you really
can teach a lot of things, but you can't say, hey, be passionate.
Yep.
Huh? So I love that. All right. So the next episode is going to be very interesting. It's called Joe Gone Rogue. So we're going off the script. There may be singing. There may even be piano playing. You never know. You don't want to miss it. Okay, if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast so other people could benefit. You can do it by quickly rating the podcast, leaving a review. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click the thumbs up button. And the greatest honor is you could click the subscribe button. Leave a comment. What are you fired up most about fully funded life and living your fully funded life? That we would love to hear that. Yep. If you've implemented one of our tips, as I mentioned, this podcast is powered by your success. Please share your story with us by emailing it to info, that's info at iwbnin.com. info at iwbnin.com. Have a great week, everybody. And if you are part of Fully Funded Life already, go to Facebook and share this episode with your friends and invite them to join you on the journey. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.